So this is our 10th out of 12 part series for the year of 2021. So today we're going to be focusing all about nutrition and how that relates to your health and wellness. And our learning objectives for today are we're going to be viewing healthy snack options and creations by youth, designed by youth, created for youth. And we're going to be learning about ways to make nutritious meals and snacks anywhere. And at the end, we're going to be participating in a discussion about nutrition and wellness. So throughout the program, if you have any questions, or if you'd like to ask our guest speaker or any of us any questions about what we're doing, feel free to use the Q&A section on your Zoom. Or you can always type it into the chat and just make sure that we can all see it in there as well. So without further ado, we're going to introduce our guest speaker, Anita. She's a health and lifestyle coach that works in the South Asian Heart Center, and she helps manage the risk for heart disease and diabetes through lifestyle. So without further ado, Anita, please turn on your camera and you can introduce yourself to all of us.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Kevin, for introducing me, and thank you, ICCCWC, for arranging these wonderful sessions for youth and engaging youth in the community. To begin with, let's talk about nutrition a little bit. Why is it important? Why is it so important to eat healthy? As some of you may already know that, epidemic of heart disease and diabetes is upon us. And as a part of, as a part of prevention, it's important to eat healthy along with, some of the other things like exercising. So snack is something that people often eat, in the morning, evening, and today we are going to talk about some recipes that will show us how to eat healthy. Traditional Indian snacks, typically when people think of snacks in this day and age, there is a lot of frozen food available and it's convenient, but that's not mean that it's not necessarily mean it's a good food. So eating healthy, preparing something healthy from scratch, sourcing your ingredients, more organic is a better way to live our life. You may have heard that we are what we eat, and I think the source of today's competition is that kind of a thing. So I would love to know from the audience, why do they think eating healthy is important to them? What are their reasons to eat healthy? Can one of the panelists, Kevin or Nikita or Mehek, can one of you tell me, why is the health important to you, and why do you think eating healthy is important to you as a student?
For me personally, I feel like eating healthy is important because what you eat is like what's going to happen. Like internal health is important as much as external health. So eating healthy just makes sure that your internal health stays on track and it's good.
Oh, nice point, Mehek. Nikita also mentioned, Nikita, I liked what you said. You said this is the aspect of wellness which is less talked about. Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah, because when people think physical health, they often think, bones breaking or things like that. No one really thinks about nutrition and what you're eating, although that can have a really big impact on that. And I also think like mental health, what I'm very passionate about, what you eat also affects your mental health and your state of being. And so it really is like fixing your nutrition can help you in a lot of different aspects, which is why it's so important.
Yes, they do also say food is medicine. In Ayurveda, they say food is medicine.
Yes, that's a very good point, especially being, you can really alter the way that your diet, if you alter your diet, your health improves drastically. And, a lot of chronic diseases are tied to your daily eating practices. So that's especially something that I'm learning as a nutrition student, especially about the importance of maintaining a balanced diet. I just wanted to share something in the chat. So Pushpa in the Q&A section said that it's important to stay healthy, and one of the ways of doing so is by healthy eating.
Yes. And Kevin, it's interesting. You mentioned balanced diet. So would you tell me what is a balanced diet for you? Like, what do you consider a balanced diet?
some of the things that I consider to be a balanced diet for myself, I'm vegetarian, so I think it's important that I'm balancing protein sources. I always like to refer to the USDA's My Plate, which is a really great visual way of making sure that you're getting all the different food groups. So just to quickly review the food groups, there are 5 of them. So there's dairy, there's protein, there's grains, there's fruits, and there's vegetables. And all of these should be within a balance. And if you want to break it down further, it just kind of goes to talk about, the specific nutrients that you can get from these 5 food groups. So every meal, I like to visualize my plate to see how much of my plate is vegetables, how much of my plate is grains, how much of my plate is a protein source, et cetera, especially living on campus at a university. I don't really get to have a say in every single thing that I'm eating or preparing. So the food that is available to me, I like to make sure that it's balanced in that way. And in fact, our activity that we'll be doing momentarily is a really great way to kind of review your own knowledge about how, like, the different food groups and the nutrients that they provide.
Oh, excellent. In that case, right now I'll hold off on talking about balance plate till we do the activity and demonstrations, and maybe later on I can talk a little bit more about balance plate, how we see the balance plate. And yes, FDA has come with that balanced nutrition plate. Earlier it used to be a pyramid, right? But at South Asian Heart Center, we have been showing that plate for last 15 years. So I would love to share a slide later on if it's okay with everybody. And then I will also like to talk about balance plate, but I'll hold off on it since we are playing a game.
Yes, that sounds totally fine. If not, actually, it might be a little helpful for us to go over that review before we play the game. So I think if you'd like to share, you can do so, or we can wait till after. It's totally up to you.
Yeah. What I'll do is while you are playing game, I'll take out the presentation and cue
Sure.
the slides. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So this is the My Plate quiz. So here's the first question. Which of these nutrients can you get from eating whole fruit that is not usually found in juice? So this is the differences between fruits and juices. So what are some of the things that are lost when we go from the whole fruit into the juice form? Correct. So most of you got it correct, or more than half of you got it correct. So fiber refers to the physical plant walls that are inside the fruit or the vegetable that we're talking about. So if you've ever seen a juicer, when you put all the fruit into the machine, you're left with this kind of like puck-shaped condensed disc of all the fiber and the pulp and the peel, the pith, all that kind of stuff that's part of the fruit that you can't eat while you're drinking juice. Vitamins are still maintained, minerals and sugar, all of that stuff is still maintained. It's the fiber that's really important that we can't see. So let's go to the next question, or we can't enjoy. So right now, Kavya is in the lead. So fiber is found in the pulp. Yeah, right, there we go. So fiber is found in the pulp of the fruit, like everything that I just explained. Which of the following is a good fruit of this of, oh, sorry, this is, which of the following is a good source of potassium, a mineral that is known to help regulate blood pressure? So it kind of gave it away with the gift that I have up there, but yes. So yes, so the right answer here is not just bananas. So while everybody may think that bananas are a really good source of potassium, apricots, orange juice, and bananas are all great sources of potassium. So while bananas are really good, you can also get potassium from a variety of sources, even including white beans, soybeans, vegetables like spinach and potatoes. You can get it from fish and low-fat yogurt and milk. Which of the following counts as part of the fruit group? So we have canned peaches, 100% orange juice, dried apricots, or all of the above. Which of the following counts as a member of the food group? So when you're building your My Plate, which of these would be considered part of your meal as, yes, correct. So all of the above, all of these. So it doesn't matter the fruit source, as long as there is a fruit present that counts towards the food group. So any fruit or 100% fruit juice counts as part of the food group. They can be fresh, canned, frozen, dried, or whole, cut up, or pureed. So there's a variety of ways that you can enjoy fruit. Fiber found in fruit is associated with which of the following health outcomes? So what does fiber do for our body? Does it maintain proper bowel function? Does it help build muscle, help make new blood cells, or does it strengthen our bones? Correct. So it is maintaining proper bowel function. So Kavia's still in the lead there. So as part of an overall healthy diet, foods that contain a lot of fiber, such as fruits, vegetables, and whole grains, reduce the risk of heart disease. They protect against certain types of cancer. And most importantly, they help maintain proper bowel function. So with your bowel movements, a high fiber diet really helps push everything, all of your excrement and waste out in a very timely and also effective manner. Next question. How much of your plate should be fruits and vegetables? So if we're visualizing a plate, like the one that the person in the GIF is cutting up right now, how much of your plate should be fruits and vegetables? If you're having one meal, is it 1/4? Is it 1/3? Is it all of it? Or is it 1/2? Yes, so 1/2. So for those of us who said 1/4 and 1/3, you might have just been thinking about either one fruit or one vegetable. Fruits and vegetables together make up 2/4 or 1/2 of your plate. So Kavi is still in the lead there. What vitamin gives carrots and sweet potatoes its orange color? So is it vitamin O, folate, vitamin A, or vitamin D? This is kind of a tricky one, but you might be associating this vitamin with eye health, so that might be a clue as to which one it will be. Which of these vitamins have you heard is really good for your eye health? So it is indeed vitamin A. So vitamin A, also known as beta carotene, which is a form of vitamin A, gives these foods their orange color. So any type of orange food that you see in the grocery store, whether it be carrots or sweet potatoes, the orange color is provided by the beta carotene, which is a form of vitamin A. So it's a plant pigment molecule, meaning that it provides the color to a plant. It's really good for eye health, the immune system, and reproduction. What is the name of the sugar found naturally in milk? And you might have heard of this. If someone is maybe intolerant towards the, oh, well, there we go. Yes, everyone knew this one. So if you've ever heard of the term lactose intolerance, it refers to people who can no longer digest the sugar that is found in milk, which is indeed lactose. Which of these is a calcium option for people who are lactose intolerant? Lactose-free milk, kale collard greens, calcium fortified soy milk, or all of the above? Also, for those who are vegan or may not consume dairy options, all of the above, correct. So lactose-free milk, calcium-fortified soy milk, kale and collard greens, all of these are really great sources of calcium for non-dairy sources of calcium. What important mineral is found in all foods in the dairy group? Is it fiber, vitamin C, riboflavin, or calcium? What important mineral is found in all of these foods? Correct. Calcium is the mineral that is found in all of these foods. Biba was killing it with 3 in a row. Nice job. Which of these dairy products contain healthy bacteria, also known as probiotics? Is it ice cream, yogurt, milk, or cheese? You've probably heard this term before as well, probiotics. Yes, correct. Yogurt is a good example of this. So if anyone knows the way that yogurt is formed, there's a lot of different bacteria involved in the process of converting pure milk to the solidified, creamy, textured yogurt. So a lot of these bacteria, also known as probiotics, are really important for our gut health and for maintaining our overall immunity. So yogurt is a really great source of these probiotics. But one thing that I'd like to add is it's not just about the probiotics or the bacteria. You also need to feed the bacteria that exists in your body. So a lot of things that are really beneficial for that bacteria include high fiber foods, lots of different vegetables, and a heavy whole grain diet. All of these things contribute to maintaining that gut microbiology system that you have going on. How many cup equivalents of foods from the dairy group are recommended for adults each day? So 1 cup equivalent, how many are recommended for adults each day from the dairy group? This kind of talks about how our needs, our nutrition needs are different as we age. Someone who's 6 months old versus someone who is 60 years old have very different nutritional needs depending on the stage of life that you're in and the stage of development that you're in. So none of you got this one. Interesting. So it's actually 3 cups. That is because the USDA and the FDA, like they've determined that people are not getting enough calcium, and a really great source of getting calcium is through dairy foods. So 3 cups a day is what is recommended for adults. So really think about your calcium intake and what are some things that you can do to increase it, because it's really important for your bone health and your overall health. We're almost at the end. What is the best way to know that the bread you are buying is whole grain bread? So does the bread taste grainy? Does the label say 100% wheat? Any ingredient include the word whole, or bread is brown in color? Correct. So a lot of the things you see in the grocery store, there's a lot of different legalities and terms that go into it. So legally, you cannot say something is whole grain unless it has the words whole in the ingredient list. So my best tip is to, whenever you're buying any foods moving forward, look at the back at the nutrition facts and the ingredients list. Look for the word whole, because anything else does not necessarily consider it a whole grain bread. The only way where legally and for sure that the food that you're consuming is a whole grain food is by looking at the nutrition label at the back of your food product. So keep that in mind when you're grocery shopping next time. So exactly, here's the whole spiel about this. So breads labeled with the words multigrain or 100% wheat are usually not whole grain products. So multigrain bread and 100% wheat can be whole grain products, but those words themselves cannot be legally associated with the word whole grain. So you have to look for the word whole in the ingredient list. Some examples include brown rice, oatmeal, popcorn, rolled oats, whole grain corn, and whole oats. Refined grains are grains that have been milled. So that's a process that removes the bran and the germ. So if you know anything about the structure of a grain, those are all different components of it. Refined grains focus on the starchy aspect of that component. The rest of it is removed or stripped away, and that's done to give it a finer texture, a lighter color, and to improve its shelf life. But it removes a lot of the health benefits that are associated with those grains. So it removes the iron, it removes the fiber, and many of the B vitamins. So the next time you have the choice between whole wheat or whole grain bread versus white bread, pick the one that has the whole grains in it, because those are the ones that has more fiber, iron, and B vitamins. It's a really easy switch that you can make, whether it be a sandwich, whether it be the next recipe that you make with different types of flour. Try adding different whole grains to it. One thing that my family does, even if we're making chapati dough, we'll add different things like rolled oats to it. We'll add things like quinoa to it. All of these things will add more fiber to just rather than plain flour. So think about that the next time you're cooking. And our very last question, which of the following are examples of refined grains? Oatmeal, white rice, bulgur, which is a type of cracked wheat, or all of the above? So white rice is the example of a refined grain. If you've ever seen the process of husking or removing the husk or the hull from rice, it involves stripping that outer layer so that the white starchy part of the grain is still there. So white rice is an example of a refined grain. Brown rice, for example, would be an example of a non-refined grain or a whole grain, because the entire part of the germ and the bran and the starch is all maintained in the grain. So let's see who wins. So in third place, answering 9 out of the 13 questions, is Doraemon. In second place, also answering 9 out of the 13 questions correctly, is Kavya. And in first place, also answering 9 out of the 13 is Mehek. So congratulations to you three. If you ever play this game next time, the quicker you answer a question, the more points you get. That's why all of you have only answered 9 questions out of the 13, but Mehek was probably the quickest with her answer. So that's why she won. So thank you all for playing. I hope you learned a little bit of information about various foods, and know that the My Plate resource is a really great way to balance your meals. So now we're going to go into our demos. So whoever is ready first from our panelists, feel free to share with us your first recipe demo.
All right, so what I've made here is pretty much a parfait. I have a strawberry Greek yogurt base with sliced bananas and cut up nuts. So the nuts in here are almonds and walnuts, I believe. So I usually eat these immediately after school or whenever I'm about to work out. I think these are like a really great source of energy and they really energize you throughout the rest of the day. And as Coven and Miss Anita said, there are a lot of great natural nutrients within this healthy snack, such as like fibers, natural sugars, and proteins. And yeah, that's why I really think it's a great snack. And I think my favorite part about this snack is the creativity that goes into it while making it. You can really put like anything you want into this snack and it'll still turn out really, really well. And it'll taste really good. So yeah, that pretty much sums up my snack.
Very nice job, Vaibhava. Any questions or comments? Anita, do you have any comments or feedback that you'd like to provide right now after each of our demos? And at the end, you can give your overall feedback. But after each demo, is there anything you'd like to say?
Just a question. Vaibhava mentioned that it's a strawberry Greek yogurt. So is this the kind of yogurt that you get, like pre-mixed yogurt?
Oh no. What I had to do is I had to mix the strawberry and Greek yogurt in order to make that foundation.
Okay, great. That's a great way of making strawberry Greek yogurt. Thank you, Vaibhav.
Thank you.
Perfect. Our next ambassador is now going to present their recipe. So that is going to be.
So I made this dish a couple weeks ago, so I don't have like a actual like live picture of it, but I wanted to show it because I think it, like we were talking about, all the food groups, and I think it includes it. So basically, if you guys know, this is like a shakshuka recipe that I made, and you eat it with bread, which is your grains that you get, and then hummus, which is also healthy because it has a lot of chickpeas, and then I added a bunch of vegetables like corn and tomatoes and carrots, and then also a bunch of greens like spinach, and then eggs. So I particularly like this recipe because eggs are good for you, but I personally don't like them. But I think eating them in this way like kind of masks the taste, and you're still eating them while getting other nutrients inside as well. So yeah.
Okay, so it has, you said hummus, corn, and tomatoes and carrots, right?
Yeah, and I think I also added like onions, and you can basically add whatever you want as like your base, and then I just put like egg on top of it.
I wanted to talk about my mom and I's guacamole recipe. We use avocados, tomato, onion, salt, pepper, and a little bit of lemon. And we usually just we mash it ourselves, and it's super fresh. And I think it's really healthy because the use of avocado is really good. Avocado has a lot of vitamins, minerals, healthy fats, and fiber, which is really good. And a creative take on it that we found online is sort of to make it a little bit healthier, since chips are usually a lot more salty, taking tortillas instead and cutting them and baking them yourself so that there's not as much excess salt. And also a creative take we found on it online was something like this, where you take the tortilla and you sort of wrap it almost like a samosa, and you bake that for a little bit, but you still have that avocado. Something we've tried is taking tortilla instead of using the store-bought like super salty chips, using tortillas and cutting them up into triangles ourselves and baking them so they get crispy, so that there's not as much excess salt.
Okay, so homemade tortilla chips.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Nikita.
Perfect. Nice job. And I just wanted to share, I didn't realize that I was on mute earlier, but I just really love the recipe of shakshuka as well. And I made a vegan version where I used tofu instead of egg, and it came out really good. But I'll find a photo and I'll share it at the end. But right now I'm going to do the recipe demo I'm going to do it live. So everyone bear with me for a second. But right here, I'm going to be presenting a smoothie recipe that I have every morning, especially, as I'm rushing off to class. I don't have a lot of time to eat in the morning. So right before, what I do is I make this smoothie. So I have a very small, just personal hand blender. And into that blender, the first thing I'm going to add is a whole banana. And where I get a banana very easily at like at the cafeteria that we have, where I can just go in and I can grab as many as I need whenever I need it. So starting off with one banana. And the next thing I do is I add frozen fruit. So this is a mixture of blackberries, blueberries, raspberries, and strawberries. So I always like to pour around 1 cup into the blender. So I think that's gonna be good, just to kind of fill it up. So I just try to fill up the container with as much fruits as I can. So now that we've added the fruit, the next thing that I usually like to add is a liquid. So I'm using this soy milk. I don't like adding real milk to smoothies. If I do, I usually prefer yogurt over milk. But since I do like to enjoy like the flavor of like soy milk or almond milk or oat milk, I'm going to be adding just a little bit of this soy milk just to loosen it up so that it's not going to be too thick. I usually like to go halfway through the blender compartment. And then at the end, this is the best part of the recipe, in my opinion. I like to add a mix of seeds. So this is a mixture of chia seeds, flax meal, and hulled hemp seeds. So this actually contains a lot of fiber and a lot of protein. It's also a really great source of vitamin D, calcium, iron, and potassium. So this provides around 8 grams of fiber, which is almost like 30% of your daily fiber intake. So I like to add a few big spoons of the seed mixture into the smoothie as well. And I find that it kind of provides a lot of body and it provides a lot of flavor into the smoothie as well. So just add one more spoon of the mixture of seeds. And then now I'm going to blend it. But I am going to mute myself while I'm blending it. But yeah. So this is my smoothie. So if you're able to see it on the screen, this is what it looks like. And yes, that was my recipe.
Excellent. Kevin, when you mix it like that in the blender, are you able to really, uh, are chia seed, flax, hemp, they are all pulverized equally, or do you still find bites of it in the mixer?
For sure. I definitely do taste, you can, and especially with the seeds from the fruit, you can definitely taste it in your mouth. But the chia seeds I find don't like, I more so feel the seeds from the vegetables than I do the actual seeds from the chia
The
seeds.
other seeds. Okay.
Because if you've ever had like chia pudding, once the liquid touches the seeds, it becomes like kind of like a pudding consistency. So it's very smooth and it doesn't really get stuck in your teeth or anything. But I will say the berries, those are the stuff that get stuck in the teeth.
Yeah, more than chia, I was wondering about flax seeds because
Right.
sometimes it's hard to grind those flax seeds in the mixed, where you have milk and fruits and mixed texture.
Right.
And they often say, the dietitians often say that flax seeds, you know how flax seeds are added in chips and everything because flax seeds are supposed to be good for us. But often when we eat flax seeds in those format, when we are chewing, we don't end up chewing flax seeds a whole lot, and then it just gets, thrown out of body through our digestive system out because digestive system is not able to get all the nutrients from it. So the nutrition value on the label may look good for like chip packet and things like that where flaxseed are added, but we are not necessarily getting all that nutrition.
Correct. Especially with any high fiber
That's
food,
not
that is
true.
always an issue sometimes because our body can't break down the literal cellulose chains that are inside the fiber of those foods. But you're correct. Yeah. Really chewing, trying to make sure that you really get as much of it open and broken down as possible physically helps the digestive system in your body when it chemically digests the food to get as much of it as it can outside of it. So that's a good point. So really, really chew all your vegetables and fruit, everyone.
So this is a good time for us to get into our Q&A. I actually have a question to start this off. I had a question about maintaining diets in regards to exercise and workout schedules. So say you start to go work out more, how should you adjust your diet to adapt to that?
So Nikita, what you are asking is, do you need to eat, snack or something before workout or with workout? Is that what your question is?
Yeah, should you, because I know there's things that people say, it's like, oh, when you start working out, you need to be eating a lot more, you need to be eating like just more food in general or more protein. So is that how we should be doing, or how specifically do you feel about that?
It's a lot of marketing marketing is behind all those claims. But if you are doing a normal exercise, like say walk or run, less than an hour or 30 minutes, 40 minutes, then I don't think our body needs any extra nutrition or anything like that. It's more like when you are doing marathon running and preparing for it, running 10 miles a day, that's when that extra protein and to build the muscle is necessary. So I think eating in our normal way at our normal times really helps our body to kind of it helps our body. We don't need to have like drink Gatorade or drink any energy drinks which are very high in sugar. Yes, it makes you feel good, but that high sugar is not good for you in a long run. And I was wondering, as I was observing some of the demos, can I make some comments on those of the ingredients? And I wanted to show the just quick plate method. When we are talking about 50% vegetables and how do you divide it, and just share 3-4 pictures.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So let me just share that, and then I'll make some comments on some of the ingredients if you don't mind. So just like USDA plate, this is a simple visual. We talked about different ingredients, we talk about, nutrition contents and everything. But just as a basic fact, if all of you remember what a plate method looks like, where half of the plate is vegetables, 1/4 grain and 1/4 protein. And then any meal that you eat, you can put together a meal into that format, and you will be always eating healthy. You'll be always eating vegetables, double the amount of vegetables, and fruit, double the amount of grain. And this is a simple visual to remember. And it's a good idea to this plate or a USDA plate to print and post it somewhere, so that it's a visual cue for us anytime we are making something. And I wanted to make sure this is an Indian plate that I'm showing, but anything that you can eat, other foods also, you can make it as a plate method. For example, if you see, this is again Indian food. So there is idli and sambar. The sambar has lots of vegetables in it, and then there is additional salad here, right? So even if you eating idli sambar as your meal for breakfast or any meal, you can add those additional vegetables. You can load the sambar with lots of vegetables that you like, and you can also add vegetables on the side. On the right hand side of the plate, you are seeing biryani, like a rice with some vegetables. There are vegetables packed in rice also, and there are vegetables around, like broccoli, steamed broccoli, to add more vegetables. Because as we saw, if rice is, 1 grain portion, then you need to eat at least twice the amount of vegetables. So there are vegetables in here in terms of broccoli, and then here there is a protein, and that has vegetables too. So that's like a raita with cucumber and some other things. So what I'm trying to get at is eating by plate method is easy if you kind of create your plates that way and try to add vegetables and protein to your plate. Next, I want to show you, like if you are eating an omelette with a piece of toast, then again, this is a 1 egg omelette with, as you can see inside, it's packed with stir fried vegetables inside. There is like onion, spring onion, asparagus, broccoli, carrots, mushrooms, those sweet peppers. You can throw in whatever vegetables you want, but then sauteing or steaming and putting it inside the omelette, then again, there is a 1 serving of protein in that 1 egg. There is at least 1.5 cups vegetable here. There are fruits, nuts, and a toast. So this is again makes a balanced plate, even if you are eating an egg. This is, I'm showing you a slide of, it's like a enchilada kind of a thing. It's a Mexican plate. So this is a portion of, right hand side, you see black beans and tortilla with little bit of cheese in it. You see the avocado on the side as a healthy fat, and there is half of the plate of salad, which has spinach, mixed lettuce, and then tomato and peppers and olives to make it a healthy plate. And this is again another Indian dish. which is this right hand side is made out of sweet potato, a savory dish. But with sweet potato, one thing I wanted to make sure, when you think of vegetables, there are starchy and non-starchy vegetables. And when we talk about half a plate of vegetables, always remember that comes from non-starchy vegetables. And what are starchy vegetables? One thing to keep in mind is potato, sweet potato, corn, peas are considered starchy vegetables. So even though peas and corn have good amount of fiber in it, they don't get counted as vegetables when we are talking about vegetables. So the sweet potato in this dish is like a grain serving of the plate. And then there is cooked vegetables, steamed cooked vegetables here. And then this is cottage cheese or a green yogurt or the Greek yogurt mixed with vegetables and some nuts in it. What do you think of these plates? Any comments?
Yeah, I think I do have a comment. I think, especially when we're talking about nutrition, a lot of the times it's focused a lot on, these European-centric, Western diets, and we don't have a lot of examples of cultural foods, especially South Asian cuisine. So I think this is a really great example of visualizing it in a way that's relatable to a lot of different people, because, a lot of people don't eat toast every single day. A lot of people don't eat, cereal or make smoothies every single day. So seeing examples of, idli, dosa, and like all those different types of cultural foods is really important when we're talking about nutrition on a much broader scale. Because when you make suggestions like that, especially the stuff that you learn as when you're in the field of nutrition, having that cultural competency and understanding foods from different cultures is a really important part of giving nutrition advice. So I really appreciated how you gave examples of different cultural foods. It's not just like, the same breads and pastas that we've always seen on those My Plate websites.
Thank you. So keep that in mind, and going forward, anytime you are eating your meals, if you try to make your plate your food in that way, that would be really helpful for you, without worrying about nutritional analysis, or without worrying about how much of what potassium, what calcium, and all of that. And the other thing that I would like to say is, always vary your food. So if you are eating vegetables, if you are eating fruit, instead of eating the same fruit and same vegetables, if you vary, variety, if you eat variety of fruits, if you eat variety of vegetables, then different vegetables have different nutrients. So at the end, you will get all different types of nutrients. In terms of fruit, there was one interesting question on Kahoot about fruit juice, right? Where you were showing and dried fruit. So eating fruit is the best, is what we say, than juicing, because as you explained earlier, the when you eat fruit, there is a fiber and it takes you longer to chew that fruit, and our digestion starts in our mouth. We say the digestion, the minute your food goes in the mouth and the saliva gets produced, and that's when the process of digestion starts. It's also, did you know that it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for our brain to realize the hunger or the food, there is enough food. So if you are gulping that juice, or if you are gulping the smoothie, then often you may not realize how much you are drinking, because you will not get that cue from the brain that, oh, you are full now. So eating fresh fruit is always better. Then comes the dried fruit, and then the any liquid form in terms of juice. So even though juice gets counted as fruit, it's still in the liquid form, and it's fiber. Even though fiber is pulverized and still there, to make a 1 glass of orange juice, you would need probably 4 or 5 oranges. But if you start eating oranges, you may not eat 4 or 5 oranges when you start eating actually oranges, chewing and eating. So chewing is an important part of our digestion too. And in terms of, there was another mention about fiber. You mentioned that fiber is, it helps us maintain the bowel function, which is absolutely right. So I would like to let our viewers know that there are 2 types of fibers, soluble and insoluble fiber. So most of the vegetables and most of the things we eat which has more fiber is more insoluble fiber. But there are certain foods like oats which has more soluble fiber. And there are other legumes which has soluble fiber too. For example, in the legumes, I think the beans, the rajma, the kidney beans have, or the black beans are high in soluble fiber. And why do we need soluble fiber in our diet? Because soluble fiber helps to bind that cholesterol in the food, and it throws it out. So it helps us to reduce our cholesterol numbers. So when you are looking at fiber in future, if you are reading the labels, look at the soluble fiber too in the diet. Other thing that, based on, oh, the vegetable servings and grain servings. Even though we look at the plate method, I think what I would like to say is, in the plate, when you say half of the plate vegetables, half of, 1/4 grain and 1/4 protein, do any one of you know actual serving sizes of cooked vegetable and uncooked vegetables, just so that you are aware of it? Would anybody like to tell me what is one serving of vegetable is? Okay. Uh, I mean, we can use cup measurements, but our medical director, Dr. Molina, always says we are all born with our own measurements in terms of our hands. So if you close your fist and look at your size of volume of your fist wrist upwards, that's one fist size, and one needs to eat 2 fist sizes of vegetables. Now a serving of vegetable is half a cup cooked or 1 cup raw chop, because when vegetables cook they shrink, right? So if you are eating salad, to eat with 1 grain serving, to eat double the amount of vegetables, the salad needs to be 2 cups. But if 1 grain serving you are eating cooked vegetable, 1 cup of cooked vegetable will do that. So remember that. And a grain serving is typically 1 6-inch roti, or 1/3 cup cooked grain is 1 serving. So that's not a whole lot of rice or oats when you are counting your grain servings. So don't just go by visually, but also knowing that also helps us. So 1 medium size idli, 1 medium size dosa, or one piece of toast, 1 6-inch roti would be one serving. And if it's you are eating, so any cooked grain like oats, farro, quinoa, barley, rice, 1/3 cup cooked rice. So one of these days, or one third of this fist size is 1 serving. Okay, and if you are eating protein, then if you are eating legumes or dal or that kind of thing, it's about 2/3 cup is a serving of protein, even Greek yogurt. And other thing that I wanted to talk about, and the more whole grain you eat, it's better for our system, because as it takes our body to digest the whole grain more. And when I'm talking about whole grain, is a cooked grain versus making flour and then making roti or making other things. So more whole grain you eat, that's better for us. And it takes longer to digest, so the glycemic response, the blood glucose spike, is less when we eat whole grain. And then it also helps feed our gut bacteria, and it helps us gut bacteria grow more in a tummy and helps us stay healthy. Thank you.
That was a great tip. And thank you so much for sharing all of those. You kind of broke down everything that we talked about in a really great way. So you saw all of our demos. Which one do you think is one of the best recipes if you had to pick one?
Oh my God, that's such a tough one. You all made efforts, and I think only thing, it's very hard for me to decide. Do I have to?
Okay, no pressure, no pressure. But we were just, because we wanted to kind of go under the guise of it being a competition. But we respect it. If you appreciate all of our recipes, then we respect that as well.
I appreciate all of your recipes. And now when you make up a recipe in the future, think of it whether the recipe has all ingredients, because eating that, in the balanced way, each and every meal really helps us. So if our recipe is missing some part of that food element, whether it's fat or whether it's protein or whether it's vegetables, then try to incorporate that vegetables and fruits.
Yes.
Yeah,
Perfect.
definitely. And I just wanted to add on to that. So I'm currently like in a workout stage right now. So I've been creating a bunch of workout meals and stuff. And I've always been under the impression that you need a lot of protein, tons of protein. But now I realize that like it's better to have a balanced plate overall, and I'm definitely gonna like alter my meal plans to fit that accordingly. So thank you for that.
Yeah, and I'd just like to also add on and say that I think that I thought that I was eating enough of like fruits and vegetables in my plate, but I didn't realize it until you mentioned that how much we should actually be eating, and I realized how much I'm not, and I should actually be eating more of that into my diet. So that was really helpful.
Excellent. And remember, corn is not a vegetable. So when you make that sukshisha, you can add more other vegetables to it to imp-
And I actually wanted to add, you showing like all the different Indian meals. It's been the opposite way for me actually. I've always just assumed, oh, I'm not eating enough vegetables, fruits, whatever, or especially for vegetables. But like seeing those meals showed me how many vegetables actually go into Indian cooking and how I'm getting those in even if I don't realize it.
Okay, excellent.
Well, we are reaching the end of our time, so we'd like to thank Anita so much for your tips, your expertise, and being with us this morning. Thank you, everyone who's joined us. We just want to be respectful of everyone's time.